Thanks for tuning in. I am Backspin Interactive. My new game is titled Breakaway, still a work in progress. So for now, I'm going to show you Rematch. It's a recent soccer game, came out this year, and it has some big issues. Now, last season, season 0, I was 5v5 Elite, which is the highest rank, but I haven't really played much 5v5s. I'm pretty much solo queue, so it makes it a little difficult to say the least. Um, right off the bat, I will say the menu is like laggy. Like I'm clicking these buttons. When I first come through, I'll click over to the video tab and it like kind of lags. I definitely want to have like a really smooth experience. It's pretty important to me. And this game in general is very janky in a lot of ways, which detracts from its overall final form. I do hope that they're able to make this into a better game, but I think it has some fatal flaws also, even if they smooth out the edges. I think the main issue with this game is it's too easy. The ball will stick to you whenever it touches your character, and it doesn't really feel as satisfying as something like Rocket League, where you have to actually manually assert that control over the physics engine. Really, Rocket League really requires you to watch the ball and react to the ball in basically a perfect manner in order to do what you want. And you don't have to do that in Rematch. And in fact, it's actually really easy to keep possession in Rematch, which I think is a fatal flaw and kind of goes along with the ball sticking to you. And the lack of real-time physics as a core part of the game. Because it is a part of the game for sure, but it's not really always present. And I can understand the physics engine, basically being faked, or like having a fake physics effect when the goalkeeper has the ball because they're holding it. You don't really have to apply physics, but it's a little different. It's a little different when you have the ball at your feet. I think part of like learning to play soccer is, and Rocket League is like reacting to the ball and being able to use the right movements for the ball to make the ball do what you want. And Rematch just makes it too easy. So yeah, that's my first complaint. Another complaint kind of goes hand in hand with that is because the ball is basically a very simulated physics object. Not like actual physics simulation, I mean, but pretend physics, or I don't know what you'd call it. Basically, the animations are a little janky, and the ball will teleport depending on how the player's moving, what button they're pressing, and it doesn't really look like convincing. I was just trying to get open wide there, but he thought I was going center. That comes back to another point, which is that the tactics are pretty bad in 3v3 because it's so easy to control the ball. I don't know if it's really an inherent problem with 3v3 as much as I think the field's too big and the ball's too easy to control. Not to say players are great mechanically, because a lot of them still are not. I'm not even that good mechanically myself, but they don't make it very difficult. I do like how this game has the Magnus effect at least faked in it in a pretty convincing way. It has that lateral or horizontal movement as it spins when it's going through the air. Not sure if it really, like, you can hit a curve on the ground in this game as easy. I should have stabbed. I'll mute that guy. I do like how they have team chat in this game. Of course, they have that in Rocket League as well, but it's not really used much. People don't really use it to communicate. It's kind of it's a bit of a toxic nature to this game. As you can see, my teammate left when we were only 1 goal down. Could have crashed. Let's hope he comes back. So here, a lot of this game is just taking a touch away from the defender. It's really like real life in that way. When you get the ball, you can do like him and touch it straight to the defender and lose it, or you can just touch it away from the defender. And the tactics, I'm sure, in Breakaway will be very similar to the tactics in Rematch, because it is just a good tactic in soccer in general to basically keep the ball in space and keep it away from the opponents. And the easiest way to do that, touch it away from the opponents. But in Breakaway, it's going to be a lot harder to, make sure the ball is deflecting off the correct side of your player's collider so that you can turn the ball in the direction you want, as opposed to you receive the ball and it just sticks to you and you can magnetically like turn it in any direction you want. So that's definitely something I don't like about Rematch. It's I don't know if I'd say I regret buying the game, but the developers, I think, missed that the game has inherent issues with the way they designed it. Another issue with this game that I don't want to run into with mine is that there's no bots. I don't like the bots in Rocket League, but for years I played Rocket League offline because I didn't have a good enough internet connection. That was my bad. Didn't have a good enough internet connection to play Rocket League online. So I played against bots. Probably left me with fairly bad habits in terms of game decisions, tactics, and even mechanics. And, it made it hard for me to learn. But it was better than if there were no bots. I wouldn't have been able to play the game if there were no bots. Goalkeeping. There's no input threshold for diving. So like there, I'm pushing to the side slightly, but it dives me straight up because I can't even set the threshold for a dive separately. Definitely want to make goalkeeping in my game a little more rewarding and responsive. Now, something I do like about Rematch, the jumping's pretty cool. I like being able to jump in front of the ball and, intercept it in that manner. It's a little nerfed in this game, I'll say. It's better than it used to be maybe, but it's still a little too weak. But they can only do but so much to sell the effect. But yeah, if there were bots, you could fill in these roles of my teammates with the bots, and then there wouldn't maybe be such a competitive disadvantage of playing with randoms, because randoms are toxic and leave, then you have a bot fill in the spot. So that'd be really cool to do, kind of in the similar way to Rocket League's casual mode. Honestly, it should be in the competitive mode in Rocket League, but Fives is a little better. Fives is pretty much all I played the first season. There's more of a team effort in Fives. And I would say Fives, threes, you have to basically carry your whole team. Fives, you just have to carry the center back role. And that's a lot more reasonable as a solo queuer. I do like, another thing I like about Rematch, the training mode is accessible from the menu just by hitting B. So you can just click one button once you get into the game and then you're in training. I think that's really cool, and I wish Rocket League had a more seamless training experience like that, because you can see your car at the main menu, and in my opinion, they really dropped the ball by not letting you just set your main training mode and then that's your main menu screen. And then from there you just hit, B or start or whatever, and then the menu fades away and rotates the camera to behind your car like you would see in the game. That would be really cool. And hopefully Rocket League, Epic do that one day, but we'll see. Would not hedge my bets on it. Another thing about Rematch that's pretty great, I would say the art style is good. The character outfits can be really bad, but I like how they've done the environmental design, and more than anything, I'd say that the color work can be really good. Maybe not this map as much as the other maps, but like if you look at the clouds, there's pinks in there's blues, and they don't really hide the fact that, for one, they're not real volumetric clouds, it's just painted. And two, they don't hide the fact that it's stylized. It's not supposed to reflect, you know, normally blue clouds, you look up in the sky, you're not going to see pink in there in the middle of the day. But it's a game, it can be a little beyond realism. So I want to have a good amount of like color variation, kind of that psychedelic style that you see in Rematch and some maps in my game, in the environments. I do like how the stadiums change during the match, but definitely not going to do that because it's just beyond the scope of what I'm able to do, or what I should spend time doing, if that makes sense. But I do want to make nice environments and at least have like 3 or 4 different maps on early access launch. And I would like to be able to make the maps like dynamically sized based on the amount of players, whether you're doing 5v5s or 3v3s or whatever. So here, that's what I'm talking about, just carrying center back in 5s is really important. Basically shifting into a position that's unfilled, but if you do that on a more offensive front, then just beware that your defense could be prone to a counterattack if nobody does the same for you. So if you're on defense, you see someone like is just kind of near defense, but they're not even marking anyone, and then there's someone up the field that's unmarked. You can go mark them, but you're putting yourself at risk. So just kind of similar to pickups in that way, soccer pickup games, because you have all different skill levels. Okay, I hit the dive button and it kicked. So there's another issue. Like I legitimately hit the dive button. That's not the first time it's happened in this game. For some reason, sometimes the B button will kick the ball, but it's like extremely rare. Like I said, it's a janky game. I like how the goalkeeper loses his mitts as he comes out. Definitely want to do something similar to that in my game. I don't really want to have the players have to use their collider to defend the goal, just like in Rocket League. I want them to have a little bit more of an ability to catch it or something like that. Maybe a bit of a more generous hitbox than a normal player would have. So there, being able to curve the ball is just super useful. I've got someone right in front of me. I can curve it, you know, across the wall kind of to the player in the outfield. If I couldn't curve it, I would have had to kick it over him, and then it's just a little harder. I like the defensive stance in this game, but it's probably not something I'm going to implement in mine because the players are going to have pretty limited animations, and the player is always going to turn where the camera turns, where in this game that's not always true unless you're holding your defensive stance. I like the throw in this game. As the goalkeeper, the throw is like pretty amazing. And currently as goalkeeper in Breakaway, you can kick it upwards, but there's no like throw functionality, but I might add in like a separate throw button because I do like being able to throw the ball. Quick chat, I would say I am and I am not a fan of. It's an issue with Rocket League 2. I think it does encourage toxicity because the timer is allows you to spam. I think if you couldn't say, you know, thanks 4 times in a row in this game, or if you couldn't say what a save like 8 times in a row in Rocket League, then the community would be like shaped into being nicer, if that makes sense. So I think it's not really an issue with having that communication. I think it needs to be policed, unfortunately. And by policed, I mean not necessarily censored, but just the game should auto-censor you if you are spamming. Even more than like 2, you know, within a couple seconds is too much. Should have trusted my teammate there. He had the block. I just shouldn't have dove first. And then as I dive there, I'm trying to dive to the corner, but it kind of gives me the generic animation, either because I dove too late or I was too far away. This game's kind of OP also because the mini-map. I don't think I'm going to include that in Breakaway because it helps with like tactical vision, but it's not at all realistic. Breakaway, I want you to be able to maybe like turn your head 180 degrees, like in the driving game like Rocket League. You can just click a button and you see directly behind you. And I think that's a good idea because in real life too with soccer, there's a pretty well-known tactical requirement, which is that you. It's close. Sorry. That you turn your head. You basically want to keep your head on a swivel. You want to be aware of your surroundings, unlike me right there where I just left him unmarked. That's okay. So yeah, a button to basically like just hold it down and you look behind you while you're holding it down, just like in Rocket League. I think that would be a good alternative to having a mini-map because then it allows you to expand your awareness quickly of the player position and everything without it being OP. Because in this game, lots of the time you'll see strategy at kickoff is that they just boot the ball up the field and someone runs directly as fast as they can up the field and they use their mini-map to see if the ball's coming to them. And then come on. Yes. And then they can just shoot it, but they don't even, you could say, oh, they can hear the ball in real life, but you have to look at it. You can't just like know that it's coming to you without looking behind you in real life. So I want to mimic that in the game and not have a mini map for that reason. I think Rocket League would be better off with the mini map than a game like Breakaway would. In Rocket League, the mechanics are so difficult that it wouldn't be that much of a help to have that extra awareness. Anyway, I think that might be it for my rematch comparisons to Breakaway. Can't think of anything else pressing besides like they put a lot of effort into the store and the aesthetics in this game, but the mechanics and the gameplay have been so broken and they've been trying to patch it together in pieces, but it's only now getting a little better, but it still has some, I think, inherent flaws to it. So I want to focus way less on cosmetics and looks and everything and focus more on the gameplay for sure. Similar to Rocket League where, yes, they do a lot of cosmetics. No, they don't really make a lot of good game modes anymore. But the core gameplay is extremely solid. So I'm really hoping to do that with Breakaway. And if you're interested, certainly stay tuned. Thanks.